convince us again why the ICC's warrant for Netanyahu is not, in fact, justified. And you have 2 minutes.
There is simply no starvation strategy, and there is no starvation. After the ICC issued its warrants, a UN-related food monitoring committee revised its own earlier estimates of the food situation in Gaza and said there is no basis to believe there is currently a famine. The way in which Israel has fought this war, now any war has dislocations and any war causes suffering for civilians, especially one fought like Hamas does, where it puts all of its targets in civilian population centers, where it builds tunnels under civilian places, where it takes over UN facilities, where it takes over schools, and where not a single civilian is allowed to flee the conflict across the border into Egypt. All of those make this a different conflict from any other conflict we have seen in recent times, but nonetheless, Israel has been more careful about civilians in Gaza than any power in any fight in recent times. And Ken said in his talks, you know, just because there's other violations doesn't mean that this is okay. But we can go through every urban fight in modern times, Afghanistan, Mosul, we can talk about the war in Iraq. We don't have to go back to World War II. If all of those are violations, then, you know, not only President Bush, but President Biden and his vice president, President Obama and his vice president Biden are all war criminals. By that definition, yes, if everybody is a war criminal, it's hard to say that Israeli leaders are not. But this is not the standard that has ever been used. And it's being applied to Israel because Israel is a small, vulnerable country. And applying these standards to it is designed to keep it from effectively defending itself from Hamas. And when Hamas wins, I'm sure Ken will say, well, let's indict them too for murdering all of the Jews of Israel. But it won't help, and it won't be effective, and that cannot be allowed to happen.